Looking to experience Shakespeare this summer? Fear not, there is no need to travel back to Elizabethan London. Instead, you can just go to Kilgore College, where some actors are looking to make their mark on one of history's most famous playwrights. KLTV's Michael Richardson has the story.
It's kind of incredible, right? To be part of something like this that's known and respected kind of around the country.
Several actors at the Texas Shakespeare Festival shared a similar sentiment as the eye-opening night later this month. One of the reasons the East Texas event has garnered so much talent? A collaborative culture.
They create and craft an environment that is educational, that is encouraging for an actor to explore and really pursue their craft in a way that is fully artistic.
The dynamic is instantly super friendly and very collaborative, and everyone gets along so well, which can be rare in a professional setting.
Many of Shakespeare's iconic dramas will be performed in Kilgore, including Julius Caesar. Sean Dale serves as the actor for Brutus in a play that includes a plethora of complex themes.
Decisions that a person who works in government has to make. I mean, it talks about relationships and how to navigate friendships, killing your best friend. I mean, it's pretty high stuff that this guy Brutus has to think about.
Attendees will also be able to look forward to Sweeney Todd, Peter and the Starcatcher, and more.
If you are Shakespeare curious, if you love music, if you love Sondheim, if you love costumes, if you love drama, come to the Texas Shakespeare Festival. There is something for you.
Michael Richardson, KLTV 7 News.
In addition to Julius Caesar and Sweeney Todd, Much Ado About Nothing, Peter and the Starcatcher, and the Tinkerbell round out the season. Festival tickets can now be purchased online. Opening night, June 27th.